So hello, my name's Rob, this is Cattle Rabbit Scale Model Studios, and today I'm going to show you a really easy way of cheating at freehand. And the way we're going to make this so easy is we're going to take the work out of it, and we're actually going to get someone else to do it by stealing other people's work and copying it onto our own. All jokes aside, we are going to go online, we're going to find some images that we like, and we are going to shrink them down and we're going to copy them onto models. This method will work on all flat surfaces or curved surfaces, although that will require a bit more patience with the stencil. I would also urge you to not steal like I've just suggested you to do, but if you do find an artist whose work you really like and you would like to put that on one of your models, which is a great way of spicing up bigger vehicles with iconography and things like that, is ask their permission and reach out to the artist first if you can. If not, it's something simple like I'm using here today. This icon is a dime a dozen, and I'm just going to show you how to transfer it onto a piece of plastic for the sake of the video. But anyway, so we're going to jump onto Google first, and because I'm doing Imperial Fists at the moment, I'm going to Google what I want to search for. You could put in skulls, hammers, whatever, it's all on here. Find an image you like. Once again, for the sake of this video, I'm going to keep it nice and simple. I want a really big, juicy fist, and I'm going to go for this one right here. And all I'm going to do is right click. I'm going to go to save image as. I'm going to save it, and just remember where that file is. What I'm then going to do is open the file up with the right click and click on edit to open it in Microsoft Paint. I'm then going to go to select all to highlight the whole image. I'm going to click on resize, and I'm going to resize it about 75%, so it becomes a little bit smaller every time. Then I'm going to copy and paste that, and then I'm going to resize the pasted one. I'm going to copy it, paste it again, until I've got a selection of 4 or 5 different sizes that I'm really happy with. Then all I'm going to do is, using modern technology, I'm going to print it out. So then you're left with something like this. Obviously, when you shrink things down, you will lose a little bit of detail, so just be aware of that. Using a little bit of plastic, like I've got here, this is just a flat piece of plastic as an example that I've primed grey. I'm going to work out what size I want, and I think I'm going to go for this little small one here. Then all I'm going to do is, using a hobby knife that probably could be a bit sharper than it actually is, I'm just going to cut it out because I actually want to take this to my desk to stop it from moving around. Do be careful when cutting out your stencil. The last thing you want to do is rip into it, especially if you've only printed out one. So it's advisable really to print out a couple of sheets if you can have access to it, or someone can print it for you. So all I'm going to do first is I'm going to take the stencil to my hobby desk, as I don't want it moving around when I'm working on it. Then, using this fantastic tool, tracing paper. Now, tracing paper, obviously for copying things, is really good. But did you know you can actually also use tracing paper to leave an imprint, and you can actually transfer what is on the tracing paper back onto a surface. And I'm going to show you how to do that. This is an old artist trick. So firstly, I'm going to just take my time and I'm going to go round the stencil itself. I'm going to make sure that I go over each bit a couple of times, so I've got a nice clear definition on my stencil itself. I'm using just a normal sharp HB pencil, and I'm just taking my time and I'm working my way around it. The neater you are in this section, the neater your stencil will be later. So it's important just to take your time when doing this step. Now my stencil is traced, as you can see, onto it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take off my tracing paper. I'm going to take off my stencil because I might use that later, and as you can see, there it is. I'm going to turn it the other way and actually put the stencil now facing my desk. And then what I'm going to do is on the back of it, I'm going to just, using the edge of my pencil, colour in my stencil. I'm going to go up and down, I'm going to go side to side, I'm going to go vertically. What I need to happen here is there to be a good reservoir of graphite attached to the back of the tracing paper, and in a minute you're going to see why. So just take your time and make sure that it is fully covered. I probably didn't need to do as much here, but other people might, so I thought it's the best way of doing it. So there you can see one side is coloured in, one side is not. So now we've got our tracing paper primed and ready to imprint. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my little bit of plastic, I'm just going to tape it down. Obviously doing this on a model is a little bit different to doing on a flat surface. So if you are doing this in the early stages, I probably would suggest working in sub-assemblies. If not, do just take your time when transferring this onto a model that's already been painted. Next, I'm just going to tape my tracing paper over because here we really need it to be accurate. This is probably the most important stage of the process. The less this moves around, the neater our stencil's going to be. And I'm now going to do this whole thing in real time. This is all one take here to show you how easy it is. So I'm just going to carefully retrace my original stencil, and I'm going to make sure that I go over each section back and forth a few times. What I'm actually doing is I'm now pushing the graphite on the underside of the paper onto the piece of plastic. And the way tracing paper works is it holds the graphite against it, but because it's not paper, it doesn't really absorb anything. So the graphite just sits there. So effectively what you're doing is almost like a brass rubbing, but you're using a pencil and tracing paper. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to carefully work around this stencil, making sure that everything is neatly visible and that it's nice and clear. Like I said, this is the most important stage. Just take your time with this stage, especially if you're doing a really complex stencil. I've taken a bit of an easy route out here because I'm just doing a simple fist, but as you can see, there we have it. It's transferred onto our little bit of plastic. I'm going to take this up now and I'm going to show you, just so you can get a bit of a better look. And really that's it. Obviously the colouring side of things is down to you. You can copy the original, use your own colours, but this is a great way of painting, especially chapter symbols and things like that, or skulls or heraldry. And that's it. I'm going to take this away and paint it. I'm going to show you it now. And there we go. Obviously I've just used cheap craft paints for this, but there is my Imperial Fist. Alright, it's a little bit janky, but I was kind of rushing to kind of get this done. But I still think that's a pretty good attempt. Especially with a bit of weathering around that, I don't think you'd notice too much about it. So there we go. Really easy to do. Just remember, be patient. With a bit of tracing paper, some pencils and a stencil and things that you can trace. Obviously the simpler design the better. You can always spruce it up yourself. And that's it. Enjoy it. I hope you learned something today, or at least a new method. How would you do this? Let me know, and do consider subscribing if you like what you've seen here today. Take care, and I'll see you next time.